All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, what you're going to be working on today on this page is you're going to be looking at this chart, and you're going to go ahead and complete the sequence chart from the story. Some have been filled out for you. All right. Now, you might be looking at this whole chart, and you might be thinking to yourself, what in the world am I supposed to do? I don't really understand this. Well, what you have to do is you have to look at the words sequence chart. Let's think about what that word sequence means. The word sequence means in what order, meaning what time order, meaning what happened first, second, third, what happened last. Things like that. That's what we're doing when we are sequencing. So now, we have to look at the very first event that they give us. The first event that they give us is that they said that, oh, you know what, and I completely left something out. It says my wanted. I want you to go ahead and just, you don't have to put this in, but just understand, I want you to say my mom. I apologize for that. It says my mom wanted to have a big surprise party for my dad for his 40th birthday. So what you're going to do is you're going to think to yourself, where does that happen in the story? So if we go back up to the story, let me just take this up to the story right here. All right, here we go. So what we're looking for is we're looking for where the mom wanted to have a surprise party for the dad for his 40th birthday. In fact, if you look at the very first paragraph, again, here's our first paragraph, we're going to notice at the very beginning it says, my dad had his 40th birthday last month. So my mom planned a big surprise party for him. So this is the very first event. So this first event here goes with that first event in the box. So now we got to think to ourselves, what would be a good second event? What's a big second event that would happen? But here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. It's very, very important we look at this. We want to make sure whatever our second event is, it goes before this third event. Because the third event is we wrote the invitations before Dad came home from work. So we got to figure out a second event that goes between my mom wanted to have a big surprise party for my dad and about them writing invitations before they came home from work. So what we have to do then is we have to go back up to here and we have to think to ourselves, okay, where exactly does that happen where we wrote the invitation? So if I read a little bit more, right here, it says, we wrote the invitations before Dad came home from work. Okay, and this is the third thing. So what we have to do now is we have to figure out what is a good event that happens in between 1 and 3. So we have from here all the way to here, everything here in red. So we have to look and see what would be a good sentence that makes sense. Remember, we want to write things down. We want to write down things that make sense to us and that go in between there. So let's go ahead and read what it says. It says, she said I couldn't tell my dad because that would spoil the surprise. I helped Mom organize the guest list and write the invitations. I was responsible for making sure everyone was included. I also addressed all the envelopes and put stamps and return addresses on them. All right? So now, what we can do there is we can go ahead and find a couple different sentences. Me personally, because this sentence right here talks about writing invitations, I kind of want to stay away from the invitations, but something that I can find is if I look at this first sentence in the second paragraph. It says, I helped Mom organize the guest list and write the invitations. Okay, well, again, I can think to myself, well, I helped Mom organize a guest list and write invitations. That sounds like a good event that I could go ahead and put in my sequence chart. Okay, so let's go ahead and go down to the sequence chart itself. Okay. So now what we have here is we have the sentence, I helped Mom organize the guest list. And that goes in between our first event, my mom wanted to have a big surprise party for my dad, and The third event, we wrote the invitations before Dad came home from work. And here's our second event, I helped Mom organize the guest list. So now what we have to do is we have to find the fourth and the fifth event, but here's the deal though, it has to be before the sixth event and after the third event we wrote invitations. So the third event again is we wrote the invitations before Dad came home from work, and the sixth event is we all yelled surprise. Dad was so shocked he was speechless. So just like before, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back to the story. And we want to find where Mom and Dad, everyone yelled surprise. I'm just going to erase that. Okay. If you look down here at the very last paragraph, the fourth paragraph, you'll find where it says, we all yelled surprise. Dad was so shocked, he was speechless. Okay? This is our very last event right there. That's our very last event. Okay? Now, we have to make sure that whatever we put in has to be before this last event and after the event we wrote invitations before Dad came home from work. So now we have all of this right here that we can take from. So if I look at this, we had to sneak them into the post office so Dad wouldn't see them. We planned to have the party at Dad's friend's house. All of the guests were supposed to come early so Dad wouldn't be suspicious. Dad thought he was having dinner with his friend. Every time I looked at Dad before the party, I thought about the secret. It was very hard not to say something. I thought I had to tell someone or I would burst. I decided to whisper my secret to my pet cat because I knew she could be discreet. Finally, the day of the party came. Everyone waited at our friend's house until the lights turned off and everyone hidden. Then Dad rang the doorbell and Dad's friend opened the door. So there we are. We have all of this information to choose from. If I want to get my fourth event, meaning the event that's going to come next, I think it'd be a good idea to go ahead and draw from the top part up here. Okay, so if I look through here, something that I like a lot is we planned to have a party at Dad's friend's house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write this sentence over in my next event. So now you see we have the sentence, we had the party at Dad's friend's house. Okay? Again, this word is supposed to be house. I didn't want to overlap the P right there. Okay? So now, what we have to do then is we have to find one more event that happens before we all yelled surprise and after we had the party at Dad's friend's house. So let's go ahead and go back up to the story. So here we are, back up at the story. Again, here is we planned to have the party at Dad's friend's house, and here's we all yelled surprise. Dad was shocked, he was speechless. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go ahead and look through this part of the story. You're going to look through this part of the story, and you're going to think to yourself, okay, what is one more event that I can write about and put in that last blank, okay? So I'm not going to go ahead and show you. I want you to go ahead and find something. Make sure, whatever you find in here, make sure that it makes sense. Don't just write words the right words. Actually think about what they're saying. Actually say them to yourself. Does this sentence make sense? You want it to make sense because you're not the only one who's going to be reading it. All right. Good luck with this, ladies and gentlemen, and I will talk to you later.